Hey, Maddie, how are you?
I'm great, bit hungover, but we're working through it.
Well, you had a lot to go. You had a big experience last night, so that has to be expected. Um, what it's great to talking to you. I wish we were talking under a lot better circumstances. But how are you feeling today? Having because again, I've talked to a ton of survivors, and a lot of them say like rewatching things is kind of like re-experiencing them again. How are you doing today? And what were how's your head?
I'm good. I knew what happened,
Yeah,
and it feels like almost better to go out the way I did because it was my own doing in a way.
right.
And um I knew the risk I was taking, and I was I was fully aware of the consequences, the opportunity and the consequences. And um I can sleep at night with the way it went down. I mean, never in Survivor history has anyone been forced to play their idol at the first tribal. Never in Survivor history has the first person voted out been the mastermind behind the vote who actually had the numbers for the vote and was then idled out. It's never happened. And I don't know if I thought, I have a weird philosophy of Survivor,
Right.
and I don't know if I thought I could win, but I knew I was gonna do some crazy stuff. And I knew that however I went, if I went, it would be iconic. And so I'm good. I'm sad, but
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah, well, it's like I always say, I'd rather be swinging for the fences than let's stand there, let the pitches go by. That's to me, that's not the way to play the game. But like looking back at what happened, what was it about, or first brought an inkling to you that Brandon should be my target? We need to take him out. Again, we don't see everything, so give us a little insight into what you were thinking and your perception of everything that happened surrounding him and the economy of the tribe.
So early on, it starts with the sweat and the savvy. There wasn't
Right.
much conversation. I mean, explain to me, if you're a strategist and I'm a strategist, explain to me why it makes sense that we do the sweat challenge on day one when Tika has just lost their biggest member, and
Yeah.
whatever we don't do, they have to do. They also were the first people to complete the puzzle in the marooning challenge. So it was just I felt a very machismo move to be like, we're gonna
Yeah.
drag the stuff through the sand. It's like, okay, that makes no sense. And that was sort of the vibe at camp. I really like everyone, but there
Yeah.
was a lot of like telling me what we're gonna do,
Right.
and they had the wrong girl because I was not gonna do that. So it started with the sweat and the savvy. And then obviously I find Brandon finding the idol. He hides it under some leaves and wants to tell me that that's where he found it. Like, I mean, if I were a better Survivor player, I might be like, wow, I can't believe you found it. But I got an ego and I was like, even find it under the leaves, dude.
Like just,
Like,
like just say it fell out of a tree or something, like
right, exactly. It was so funny watching him read in front of the whole tribe that he had an idol. And I'm
yeah.
just standing there like, told you so. So
Now,
I don't know. Brandon's an alpha. I'm an alpha. I'm a competitor. That dude is a former professional athlete, and
yeah,
I am as competitive as a 6'4" former professional athlete who is the biggest guy on our season, and in a tribe of six, probably one of the most powerful people on the season. And that's who I wanted gone. So yeah.
now, well, yeah. I mean, it's not the dog in the fight; it's the fight in the dog. And so, I want to ask you: is after the challenge, so everything that happens. Does that increase the tribe's willingness to go with your plan because of everything that happened during the challenge? I mean, he's not only blaming himself, but he had to sit out.
Yeah, I don't think there was a lot of talk of like the guys coming to me and being like, we have to keep the tribe strong. And I'm like, this is ironic. Matthew's arm is in a sling and Brandon the challenge. So what do you mean we have to vote Jamie? It didn't make any sense to me. So again, like, my ego got in the way of just like not letting these people think that I would go with it. But uh one thing we don't see a lot of is Matthew.
Right.
I was clocking Matthew from day one because that dude is a wild card
Yeah.
and he's going to do some crazy crap. And you know how I know that? I'm a wild card. Crazy crap. And what you want is people that you know how they're going to play.
Yeah,
I knew how Brandon was going to play. That's why I was trying to work with him. I tried. I wanted to work with him. He's an old school player. He wants to play to keep the tribe strong. And I could predict his moves.
right.
Irony. With Matthew, I couldn't predict his moves. And what we don't see at tribal, and this is why it's so confusing, is that Matthew tipped Brandon off.
Right.
And that's why I go home. And that's why Brandon plays a shot in the dark. It was a really, really good play by Matthew.
Now, did you know, did you have any inkling at tribal council that he was going to play the idol? And when he did you know this is probably curtains for me, unfortunately, because how everything is playing out?
100%. I, going into tribal, knew I was running with my sword out, but no shield. How I am. Like,
Yeah.
I liken it to like free solo rock climbing. It's like, well, why free solo rock climb when you can just do it with a rope and not die? It's like,
Yeah.
because it's cooler not to. Like, it's just cooler if you get up the wall with no rope, and it's more thrilling. And I'm a thrill seeker. And also, beyond that, it was, if that had worked, that is a great move. And when I go to Lauren and I say, he's the kingpin, he's the godfather, he's playing everyone, that's projection, baby.
Yeah.
I was the kingpin, I was the godfather, I was playing everyone, and I wasn't scared of Brandon for a second. He just wouldn't work with me.
Yeah.
And that's why I needed him out. But I needed other people to be scared of him. So it's one of those things where, like, if it doesn't work, then you're crazy. And if it does work, then you're a genius. And I went home with one vote. It almost worked.
Now, obviously the game's starting out with 3 tribes, smaller tribes. Convey to people, because sometimes I don't think people realize this, but convey to people how hard that is when your tribe is that small, because honestly, there's nowhere you could hide. And especially at the beginning of the game, that must have been very difficult to work through.
Yeah. I don't really think I needed to hide though, because they were just playing such a straightaway game. I mean, they just wanted Lauren or Jamie, and if I had kept my mouth shut, then I could have, played my game orbiting around them, and they get to do what they want and I adapt to them. But that is like antithetical to my philosophy of Survivor and why I want to play Survivor and how I want women to be able to play Survivor.
Right.
So I wasn't going to do that, and I was going to find a way to get people to pivot around me or orbit around me. And I was working towards that. I mean, I was in with everyone. And
What would have happened if sorry, well, what would have happened if Brandon, if he had gone home? What was your plan going ahead and moving ahead after that?
Matthew, gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was plan number 1. And then when Brandon wouldn't work with me, I knew I have a better chance. Matthew was acting really, really down after he hurt his arm.
Yeah.
And I was there for him. I was sleeping with him. I was like caring for him. And as wary as I was of Matthew,
Yeah.
he let me know that there was an inroad with him. Whereas Brandon not wanting to play with me with the idol, it totally shifted. I mean, I was 100% gung-ho, let's get Matthew out. And then Brandon just put a target on his back by not wanting to work with me.
Now, I asked this of all the survivors I've ever talked to, and because again, like, they film 24 hours a day, and we only get to see a condensed version of that reality and that life. So is there anything about your journey, whether, a moment, strategy, anything at all that you wish would have been shown at last night's show for fans to see?
I think you get a sense of that I was running the show, but I don't think you get a sense of how long I was running the show and how well I was doing it. I mean, I knew about Lauren's advantage. I was one of the only people that knew.
Yeah.
It's looking at me all tribal, asking me what to do. You have Kane willing to flip on the guys to work with me.
Yeah.
And you have Jamie, who, though she got paranoid, was also on board with the plan. She just wanted to add some protection for herself. So I wish you had seen how much I stood up for the girls, because their names were on the block, not mine.
Right.
You could say it's stupid that I pulled what I pulled, but it almost worked. And then it would have not been stupid. It would have put me in a really good position.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just wish you saw, like, the guys coming up to me and saying, we're voting for Lauren, and me being like, why would I do that? Make it make sense. I was really playing a hard game.
Well, I just wanted to say thanks for taking the time to speak to us today. And the way Survivor goes, you never know if if there's another chapter to your Survivor journey. So all the best of luck in the future. And all things being told, it's nice to, like I said, to see somebody swinging for the fences instead of sitting there and letting the pitches go by, because we want to see strategy and we want to see gaming. So good luck and best about everything.
Thank you. Thanks so much.